Something shifts after 60, and no one quite prepares you for it. The face in the mirror belongs to someone you're still learning to recognize. The body moves slower now. The children who once needed you have built lives that no longer turn around your hands. The work that told you who you were has quietly ended. The circle of friends has grown smaller, and the day itself holds more silence than it used to. Somewhere inside all of this, a question arrives, not loud, just steady. If so much of what once made me happy is changing, where does happiness come from now? This is not a question you fix with cheerful thinking. And this is not a talk about staying positive. Perhaps the ache was never that life is taking happiness away. Perhaps we asked passing things to carry a happiness they were never built to hold forever. In this talk, 7 quiet shifts so these later years can grow lighter, even as everything inside them keeps changing. 1. Your body is changing, but you are more than what is changing. Look at your hands for a moment. Really look at them. They are older now than they used to be. The skin has thinned. The knuckles have grown more pronounced. Perhaps there is a small tremble that was not there 10 years ago, a stiffness in the morning that takes longer to loosen. And when you notice these things, something happens almost instantly in the mind, so fast you rarely catch it. You do not simply think, "My hands are aging." You think, "I am becoming less." Those are 2 completely different thoughts. And the distance between them is where so much of the suffering of later life quietly lives. Because the body changing is a fact, but "I am becoming less" is not a fact. It is an interpretation. It is a sentence the mind adds on top of the fact, and it adds these sentences constantly. Gray hair becomes, "I am no longer attractive." A slower walk becomes, "I am turning into a burden." Retirement becomes, "I am no longer useful." No longer being asked, your opinion at the family table becomes, "Perhaps my voice no longer matters here." Notice what is happening. Every physical change is being answered as if it were a verdict about your worth. This is where Buddhism offers a way of seeing that is easy to miss. The early teachings speak often of anicca, impermanence, but this is deeper than the obvious observation that everything changes. Impermanence asks a sharper question. Why did we build the entire foundation of our worth on something whose very nature is to change? And there is a second teaching threaded closely to it, anatta, non-self. In one of the early discourses on the nature of self, the Buddha points to something quietly devastating. If this body were truly yours in the fullest sense, truly your possession, truly under your command, then you could simply tell it, "Be this way. Do not be that way. Stay strong. Do not age. Do not fail me." But you cannot. The body has never fully obeyed. It follows conditions older and larger than your will. Now, be careful here, because this is where people misunderstand. Non-self does not mean the body does not matter, that you should neglect it or treat it with contempt. That is not the teaching. The body deserves care. It has carried you faithfully for decades. What Buddhism asks you to release is something much more specific. The belief that because this body has changed, therefore my worth has changed. Caring for the body and building your identity out of the body are not the same act. One is love. The other is a trap that tightens with every passing year. So look at those hands again. Do not only see what they can no longer do. See everything they have already done. The work they finished. The children they held. The homes they mended. The tears they wiped. On faces you loved. Aging becomes frightening when every change is forced to answer the question, who am I? It becomes lighter the moment change is allowed to be simply change. But even as you begin to make peace with the body, another fear tends to grow louder at exactly this age, quieter than the mirror, and harder to name. The feeling that time itself is beginning to run out. 2. You don't need more time, you need to stop leaving the time you have. There is a particular fear that arrives quietly somewhere in your 60s or 70s, and it rarely announces itself directly. It sounds something like, there just aren't enough years left. You do the arithmetic without meaning to. You notice how quickly a decade passed, and you wonder how many more you are allowed. It is an honest fear. Time really is finite, and pretending otherwise would be its own kind of dishonesty. But sit with it a little longer, and something stranger begins to surface. Because the deeper problem, for many people, is not the number of years remaining. It is that they are barely present for the years they still have. Look at where the mind actually spends its hours. The body is here, in this chair, in this kitchen, in this ordinary morning, but the mind is somewhere else entirely. It is back inside an argument from 20 years ago, rehearsing what you should have said. It is sitting with someone who is no longer alive. It is caught in the last tense phone call with your son. It is rehearsing a diagnosis that has not come, running the endless loop of what if. And while the mind travels through all of that, the morning quietly passes, unseen. This is where a Buddhist teaching becomes surprisingly practical. The early texts return again and again to a quality called appamada, often translated as heedfulness or wakefulness. The Dhammapada places extraordinary weight on it, treating this alert presence as something precious, guarded the way one might guard a great treasure. But you do not need the Pali to feel it. Appamada simply means refusing to sleepwalk through the life that is still here. And notice the mechanism, because it is exact. When attention rests in what is actually happening, experience becomes direct, and life is genuinely lived. When attention drifts into loops of past and future, you become absent, and days accumulate that you were never really inside. Then one afternoon the question arrives, where did the years go? They went where your attention went. Much of the time, your attention was not here. Picture two people, both 70, on the same ordinary morning. One spends it reading news that makes the blood rise, remembering an old insult, counting how rarely the children call, dreading the next 5 years. The other carries every one of those same troubles, the distant children, the uncertain future, all of it. But this morning, she tastes her tea and actually notices it is warm. She watches the light move across the window. She calls a friend. She listens to a grandchild tell a long, unimportant story, and she stays for all of it. They were given the same 24 hours. They did not receive the same amount of life. So here is the question worth sitting with, and notice it is not the usual one. The productive world asks, What do you want to accomplish before you die? But the quieter, more searching question is this: where does your mind go when it leaves the life that is actually happening? You cannot control how many mornings remain to you. That was never in your hands. But you can stop abandoning the morning that has already arrived. 3. Stop making yourself smaller just to keep everyone comfortable. There is a kind of disappearing that can happen in the later years, and it is so quiet that even the person doing it rarely notices. You stop offering your opinion because the children don't really want to hear it anymore. You let someone else decide where you'll live, what you'll eat, how your own days will be arranged. You swallow a remark that stung because keeping the peace feels safer than the risk of a rift. You find yourself apologizing not for anything you did, but simply for having a need at all. Each small silence seems reasonable on its own, but they accumulate. And one day you realize you have made yourself smaller and smaller, until there is almost no room left where you used to stand. It would be easy to name this and stop there, to say you've erased yourself. So, start speaking up. Live for yourself. But that answer is too simple. And it is not the Buddhist path. Because here is the part that is easy to miss. Not every act of yielding is self-erasure. Sometimes the ego hides underneath the language of dignity too. I deserve respect. After everything I've done. That is not always wisdom speaking. Sometimes it is pride, wearing the costume of self-worth. So the real work is learning to tell the difference between an egoic demand and a wise boundary. And this is where Buddhist practice becomes precise rather than sentimental. The teachings on right speech don't ask the question. The wounded ego asks, what will make me win? Nor do they ask the frightened question, what will make everyone approve of me? They point toward a third question, quieter and harder. What response creates the least unnecessary suffering, without betraying what is true? Hold both of those at once, and 3 difficult things become possible. Kindness that does not require your own erasure. Compassion that does not collapse into submission. A boundary that is spoken without hatred. Consider a woman of 72. Her grown son calls, but mostly when he needs something money. A favor, an errand. She feels the 2 familiar pulls. One is to keep saying yes, then carry the quiet resentment afterward, alone in the kitchen. The other is to finally erupt after everything I've done for you. Both feel justified. Both, in the end, create suffering. One poisons her, the other poisons the bond. But there is a third way, and it is the narrow one. She notices the resentment before it hardens. She does not reach for guilt as a weapon. She says the true thing plainly, I can't do this one, and I'd love to hear how you actually are. She draws the line, and she does not feed the anger behind it. That is not weakness, and it is not war. It is something more demanding than either. This is the distinction worth carrying out of this section. Letting go of ego was never meant to mean letting other people erase you. The self that clings and the self that vanishes are both forms of suffering. Freedom lives in the narrow space between them. And yet, even when you live with this kind of quiet dignity, even when your speech is true and your boundaries are clean, life still sends what you did not choose. The body still aches. The people you love still leave. The children still live far away. Buddhism never promised to remove that first wound. What it reveals is stranger, and far more useful, why we so often reach back and wound ourselves a second time. 4. Pain may come, but you don't have to fire the second arrow. Something happens, and then something else happens right after it. And the second thing is often the one that does the real damage. The knee gives out on the stairs. That is one event. But listen to what follows. Almost instantly, in the mind, this shouldn't be happening to me. My good years are behind me now. Everyone else my age seems to be doing fine. The diagnosis arrives from the doctor. That is one event. Then comes the flood. Why me? Why now? What did I do to deserve this? A husband dies. The children settle 3 time zones away. And on top of each of these real losses, the mind builds a second structure, invisible, and often far heavier than the loss itself. This is the heart of one of the most precise teachings in all of Buddhism, and it is worth slowing down for. In the Salatha Sutta, the Buddha offers an image. When a person is struck by an arrow, there is pain that is unavoidable. But then, he says, it is as if that person is struck by a second arrow. In the very same spot. The first arrow is the event itself. The second is what the mind does in response, the resisting, the protesting, the endless this should not be. And the wound of the second arrow, he observed, often hurts far more than the first. Notice what this teaching is not saying. It is not saying pain is optional, or that if you were only spiritual enough, nothing would hurt. That would be cruel and untrue. It is drawing a distinction that most of us never learned to make, that pain and suffering are not the same thing. The first arrow is sensation, circumstance, the raw fact of loss. The second arrow is what grows on top, the craving for things to be otherwise, the aversion, the resistance, and then the mind's endless commentary spinning the same thought 100 times. Event, then feeling, then resistance. Then the story multiplies and suffering expands to fill whatever space you give it. This is where Buddhism goes past the ordinary advice to just accept reality. It does not merely tell you to accept. It shows you, step by step, how the suffering is actually being manufactured. Consider a woman who spent her whole life walking mountain trails. Then her hip fails, and the steep paths are simply closed to her now. That is the first arrow, and it is real. But the second arrow is the sentence she keeps repeating, if I can't hike, then the part of me that was truly alive is gone. She lives inside that sentence for months. And then, slowly, something loosens. She begins to ask what she had actually loved out there. Not the summit, not the difficulty. It was the stillness, the trees, the sound of her own breath, the attention, the quiet astonishment of being small beneath something vast. And she realizes a flat garden path holds every one of those things. Some losses are real, and they deserve to be grieved. Buddhism does not hand you a quote and ask you to skip the grief. It only asks a gentler question. Once the grief has had its time, must the resistance live here forever? So when pain arrives, and it will try to feel where the first arrow ends and the second begins, the first arrow asks for your compassion. The second one asks only for your awareness. And there is a subtler version of this second arrow, one that doesn't come from any single event, but from an entire life you believed you were supposed to have. 5. Stop mourning the life that was supposed to happen. By the time you reach your 60s or 70s, you may notice something strange. If you look closely enough, you are not living one life. You are living two. There is the life that actually happened, and running quietly alongside it, like a shadow that never quite fades, there is the life that was supposed to happen. In that second life, the husband is still here, sitting in his chair by the window. The daughter lives across town instead of across the country, and she visits on Sundays. The marriage held. The career reached the height you once imagined for it. The savings are enough. The body still moves the way it did at 40. None of it is real. And yet, this second life, this life that never once existed, can reach across the years and hurt you every single morning. Now, it would be easy to hear this and think the problem is memory, or dreams, or ordinary regret. It isn't. There is nothing wrong with remembering. Nothing wrong with having wished things had gone differently. Grief for a real loss is not the trouble here. This is where Buddhism names something more precise. The trouble is a particular kind of clinging in the early teachings. Upadana, the grasping that will not open its hand. And what the hand is gripping is a demand. A silent, absolute condition you have placed on your own peace. Reality must match the picture in my mind before I will allow myself to rest. As long as the world refuses to match the picture, and it always will refuse, peace stays permanently out of reach. The early discourses on the 5 aggregates return to this again and again. Freedom is found not in getting life to match the picture, but in loosening the grip that insists it must. And here is a distinction that changes everything, if you let it settle. Acceptance is not approval. To stop demanding that the past be different is not to say the past was fine. You are allowed to dislike what happened. You are allowed to wish with your whole heart that it had gone another way. You are allowed to ache over it. And still you can set down the impossible demand that a finished thing become unfinished. Think of a grandmother who gets 2 short video calls a month with her grandchildren. She wanted more. She imagined more. In one version of those 20 minutes, she spends the whole call quietly wounded. Why don't you call me more often? Why is it always me who reaches out and the child feels it and pulls further away? In another version, she lets go of the call that should have been and simply enters the one that is here. She asks about school. She laughs. She tells a story. She sends the child off without a weight of guilt to carry. And the strange thing, the thing almost no one expects, is this releasing the imaginary relationship is often what finally lets the real one come closer. So the letting go this teaching asks of you is not cold, and it is not forgetting. You do not release the life that should have happened because it never mattered to you. You release it because the life that is still here, this call, this morning, this ordinary hour still does. And once the imagined life loosens its hold, a quieter question tends to rise in its place, one that many people spend their whole lives arranging, never to sit still long enough to hear. 6. Learn to be alone without feeling abandoned. There was a time when silence barely had room to exist in your life. There was work to get to, children who needed feeding, driving, refereeing, errands, phone calls, the constant low hum of being needed by someone every hour of the day. And then, somewhere after 60, the noise thins out. The house grows quiet in a way it never used to be. You notice sounds you never heard before: the hum of the refrigerator, a clock in the next room, your own footsteps on the floor. And in that new quiet, a thought arrives that feels like a fact: I am alone. I have been left behind. But notice something before we go further. You have just done something the mind does almost automatically. You took a conditioned silence and you translated it instantly into a verdict: loneliness. And those are not the same thing. This is the confusion worth untangling slowly, because so much unnecessary suffering hides inside it. Here, it helps to be honest, in a way that some spiritual talk is not. Being alone is not automatically peaceful. The early Buddhist texts speak of seclusion as something valuable, a condition that can help a settled mind see things clearly, as they actually are. But those same teachings are careful. They also acknowledge that solitude can be genuinely difficult for a mind that has not yet found its footing. So this is not a promise that if you simply sit alone, peace will arrive. Solitude does not create your inner state. It reveals it. It shows you the mind you have brought into the room. And watch what actually happens when the noise disappears. The thoughts you kept at bay all those busy years, the regrets, the worries, the old griefs, they finally become audible. That is uncomfortable. And so the hand reaches for the remote, the phone, the endless scroll, or the urge to call someone, anyone, just to fill the space. The escape is understandable, but it never quite works, because the discomfort is waiting again the moment the noise stops. There is another way through, and it runs in the opposite direction. Instead of fleeing the discomfort, you turn toward it. Gently, you let it be seen. And something strange happens over time. What you meet often enough stops frightening you. The discomfort becomes familiar. The familiar becomes almost companionable. You begin, slowly, to be at home in your own company. You don't need an hour of meditation for this. 10 quiet minutes is enough. No phone, no television, nothing to fix or solve. Just sit and feel the breath moving. Notice the small sounds of the house. Feel the weight of your own body in the chair. Watch the thoughts arrive and watch them go, the way clouds cross a window. But hear this clearly, because it matters. The goal is not, I don't need anyone. That is not wisdom. It is another wall. Dala. Loneliness in old age is a real and serious thing, and no one should face it alone. The goal is gentler, to be enough at home within yourself that you no longer demand other people constantly rescue you from your own mind. And when that shifts, something in your relationships quietly changes too. Need softens into appreciation. Clinging opens into connection. The fear of someone's absence turns into gratitude for their presence. Being alone and being abandoned were never the same experience. One is a fact about the room. The other is a story about your worth. And that story you are free to set down. And once solitude stops frightening you, there is one last silence. Most people spend their whole lives avoiding the one that gives every other moment its weight. 7. Remember death so you don't forget to live. We have arrived at the one subject most people spend a lifetime arranging never to look at directly. Not because they are cowards, because it frightens something very deep. And so it stays in the corner of the room, unmentioned, while we busy ourselves with everything else. But you have already spent this whole talk quietly circling it. Every change in the body, every passing morning, every loss, every goodbye, all of it has been pointing here. So let's not soften it into vagueness. Let's simply turn and look, gently, at the fact that this life will end. Notice, though, the tone that matters here. This is not "you don't have much time left." It is not a warning, and it is not a threat. In Buddhism, there is a practice called Maranasati, mindfulness of death, and in the early texts it is presented not as a doorway into despair, but as a way of living wide awake. The teaching is direct, even startling in how plainly it asks you to hold your own mortality close each day. And its purpose is the opposite of gloom. The truer feeling underneath it is this: because this moment will not stay, it deserves your full attention. Watch what happens inside you when the finiteness of time stops being an abstraction. Priorities rearrange themselves without any effort. The small resentments start to shrink. The things you have been endlessly postponing suddenly become visible as postponement. And presence, actually being here, grows sharper, brighter, more real. Hold a real life against that light for a moment. That argument from 15 years ago, the one you can still recite, smaller. The question of who was right, who was wrong, who owes the apology, smaller. But a slow mourning beside the person you love, larger. The sound of your child's voice on the phone, larger. A cup of tea in a kitchen you have stood in 10,000 times somehow, impossibly, larger. So the reflection here is not the productive one. Not if you had 1 year. What would you accomplish that only turns your remaining days into another task list? The quieter questions are these. Who would you forgive? While forgiving is still possible, who would you call before the chance is gone? What have you kept postponing, as though the right moment were guaranteed to arrive, and what, held up against the shortness of it all, suddenly becomes far too small to keep carrying? And here is where everything in this talk turns over. One last time. All the way through, impermanence has appeared as the thief, the force that takes the body, takes the years, takes the people from their chairs. But look again. If this morning were going to last forever, it would ask nothing of you. You would never bother to notice it. If the people you love could never leave, you could postpone every tender word forever and lose nothing. It is only because nothing stays that anything becomes precious. It is only because the cup will one day be empty that this sip is worth tasting. The very thing that takes everything away is also the thing that makes it matter while it is here. That is the strange gift hidden inside your own mortality. When you truly hold it, attention itself becomes a form of love. And that turning from impermanence as loss to impermanence as tenderness is where this whole question of happiness after 60 finally comes to rest. Think back to where this began. When you first sat down, happiness after 60 probably seemed to depend on a short list of things you no longer fully control: being healthier, being younger, having the children closer, having more money, more friends, more years. But look at what has quietly shifted underneath us. The body changed, and you saw you did not have to build your whole identity on it. Time grew shorter, and the answer was not to find more of it, but to stop abandoning the present. People changed, and peace turned out not to require their approval. Pain arrived, and you learned not to fire the second arrow. Life refused to match the plan, and you set the imagined life down. Silence grew loud, and you began to make a home inside your own mind. And death came into view not as a threat, but as the thing that makes this moment worth your full attention. Notice that not one of these was about making the difficulty disappear. And this is the real payoff, the thing the title was pointing at all along. True happiness after 60 is not nothing hard ever happens again. It is something far more durable. The hard things no longer hold unlimited authority over your mind. So return, one last time, to the question underneath everything: is this it? The honest answer is not no. The best is still ahead. The honest answer is yes. This is it. This morning, this body, this family, exactly as it is. This imperfect history, this uncertain, unmeasured amount of time still remaining. And here, Buddhism asks its quietest, most piercing question: why must this be declared insufficient before you allow yourself to be at peace? The deepest happiness of these years may not come from holding on more successfully. It may come from finally seeing what never needed to be held at all. You do not need your life to become what it once was. You only need to become fully present for the life that is still here.